Hey, this is Vincent, and I'm about to show you one of the biggest dioramas that I've ever made. So this is one of the largest dioramas I've ever made, and it's actually the first building that I've done the interior and the exterior. Let's start off with the measurements. This thing is 24 inches wide and 17 inches tall to its top point. It is made of XPS insulation foam, but some of the other materials that you see on the front are 3D printed parts, which are PLA printed, acrylic on the windows and the door, and then there's also 3D printed parts on for the awning and for the arcade sign with some actual styrene behind it. And this sign lights up, so the power source is hidden underneath the awning, and there's operated on 2 AA batteries, and you can turn it on and off by just pressing the button underneath there. One thing I did want to mention, as far as inspiration goes, there's an arcade on the west coast of the US called Ground Control. It has a similar color scheme and it had a similar front facade, and I definitely drew some inspiration when I was trying to plan out this particular build. Wanted to show you guys the side. Both of the sides look exactly the same, so I'm just going to show one of them. We'll kind of go top to bottom. So this is all XPS foam, and the top part I did a little bit of a different look on the concrete, which I used a wired brush and I kind of just tapped it. Instead of scraping it across, I kind of just tapped it to give it this sort of concrete look where it looked like it was more porous. So I did that all the way across. And the roof piece is here, so we'll show you guys the roof next. But the roof piece is this portion, and then the rest of this is the wall. So for this part of it, I wanted it to look like concrete slabs, kind of. So we have 4 slabs that make up the entire part of this wall. And I carved them in XPS foam first, and then I did some things I haven't normally done. So the first was I did use my tin foil and I textured the concrete that way. But then another thing that I did was use this patch and paint, which is wall spackle, lightweight wall spackle. And I took a old gift card that isn't in use anymore, and I basically lightly scraped it across so you can see some of that texture here. And it achieved, I think, a more realistic concrete look than when I just used the tin foil. And once that was done, I just did a bunch of different washes. So I did black washes on this, I did brown washes, and I wanted it to look like, you know, rainwater from the roof had kind of come down on several areas of this all the way throughout. Just because if this was a building that's been there for a long time, there would be some weathering. I didn't want it to be extreme, but I wanted it to be somewhat noticeable. That's the concrete portion of the wall. And then you may be wondering why there's a hole right here. We're going to get into more detail in part 2 of this video, but that is to let some of the wiring that the customer has for his custom arcade cabinets come out from inside the diorama so that he can plug them into his power source. All right, you're looking at the back of the arcade right now, and this is the second of 2 different types of roofs that I put on the diorama. This one is supposed to be a metal roof, and it's created from XPS foam using my Proxon. So I created a slanted roof for the back part of the diorama, and then I also created these beams using the Proxon, these as well, all this stuff here. After that was all cut out, I decided to put corrugated cardboard down to give it like a tin roof effect. And after all of that was glued into place, I painted this entire thing silver, just hand painted it. Once that was done, I decided to weather it with several different shades of brown. So I did some dry brushing and just some little slight washes on this to achieve what you're seeing here. And after that portion, there's also the wall portion, which is the same exact setup as what I showed in the previous shot. The entire perimeter of the outside of the building is done this way to make it look like concrete with the wall spackle and the washes and all of that, except for the front of the building, which you guys saw. So the roof is one of my favorite parts of this diorama, and I'll start out just by talking about the structure. So this is the 24-inch by 24-inch base. Then you have these 24-inch, they're 1-inch foam blocks that go all the way around the perimeter, and I chipped a few of them off, so it looks like there was a couple chips coming out from the concrete. It's all supposed to be concrete. And I also did some washes just to make it look like there was some water runoff, water spilling in certain spots, things like that, some light dry brushing to weather it. But what I really am excited about on the roof is all the rooftop hardware that I designed. These are all designed first for this diorama. I do offer some of these things for sale, like these HVAC units and these HVAC vents, but they were originally designed to be used in this diorama. So the first thing I'll show you, since we talked about that, was these HVAC units, and they're hollow on the inside. They're 3D printed, custom designed by me, and they're let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different pieces. So each one of these is painted separately and then glued together, but it has a little vent on the inside, a little fan on the inside, and I weathered them up to look like they were dirty and been on the rooftop for a while. And I have 2 of them. They're movable. You can put them wherever you want. I like them here, so this is how I've had them, but the client will be able to put them wherever he likes. Same goes for these 2 pieces, which are designed to be like HVAC vents, so all the air, smoke, whatever you might imagine is coming out of these from the inside of the building, exhaust. And they're also weathered to look like they've been up here for a little while. So I used some black, some brown, some rust colors to make it that effect happen. Now the final piece of this is modular, and I'll show you guys. It's hollow on the inside. This is supposed to be like a utility electrical box. So here's the front of it, and then the side and the back. So it is modular. You could put it anywhere you want, but it was specifically designed to hide the power source that feeds the inside of the diorama, which we'll see in part 2. So it fits directly over that. So if he wanted to turn it on and then turn it off, he can do that and then simply hide the power source. If you like the exterior of this diorama, wait until you see what's inside. Make sure you subscribe so that you get to see part 2 of this build.